Welcome back to the Chiro Money Show, where we're helping chiropractors make better financial decisions so they can build stability in their finances and a lifestyle that they love. We're your hosts, Chris Shield and Scott Campbell, and we are excited to dive in with you today with my daughter's headphones on my ears, of course.
It was hard to take you seriously with with this intro here. If you're only listening, Chris is currently wearing his daughter's turquoise purple headphones because we're not quite at professional podcast status yet. So feel free to send your gear recommendations because we need them.
Yeah, we use them. Yeah, I need them. Scott is our resident tech expert, AI expert, and I am not. So send your gear recommendations if you're podcasters.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if we have any podcasters listening. I don't think either of our wives or parents are podcast experts, so
we'll figure it out. What are we talking about today, Chris?
All right. Today, we are going to talk about why a big income isn't the same as financial freedom. And we're going to talk about how to close that gap. So income is great, but it doesn't always translate into building wealth and financial freedom.
A phrase that I always think about when it comes to this topic is kind of the difference between rich and wealth, and living a rich life versus living a wealthy life. If you're not familiar with Morgan Housel, friend of the show, of course.
Yeah.
Friend of the show. He wrote the book, The Psychology of Money, and he actually just came out with his recent book, The Art of Spending Money, which just came out a few days ago. I'm a few chapters into it. Really great so far. A banger, as some of the kids would say these days.
Yeah.
But
quick, can I distract us for a second, or get us off topic for a second here? Do you think that book is geared, I know nothing about it other than I know Morgan and I know the title. Is it geared towards retirees, or is it just for anyone in general?
Anyone in general.
Yeah.
Yep. I think there's chapters that I haven't got to yet on retirement and transitioning probably from your income earning years and your accumulation years and transitioning into spending.
Yeah. That's what I think about first off is we hear so many stories from people in our circles and our clients' parents, etc., of having a hard time making that transition to the decumulation phase and actually spending the money that they've worked so hard to save over their years.
Yeah. So those are clients that have typically built wealth.
Mm-hmm.
They've built wealth over their lifetime. And to go back to the point from Morgan Housel of living a rich life versus living a wealthy life, there's a big difference there. And I think it's important to know that there's a balance of living, a combination of both those lives. When I think of living a rich life, that's what people typically see. It's the clothes that you wear, it's the cars that you drive, it's the house that you live in, it's the vacations that you go on. People see that front and center, and that's typically all income driven. But wealth is hidden. It's a secret. People typically don't know what you're building in the background. And, you can't just live life and just focus on building wealth and keeping it all secret and not living for the moment. You got to find that balance. But too often, what we're going to get into this topic today is too often we see there's just too many chiropractors out there that are earning that big income, but they're just not moving the needle far enough to eventually get them in a position where they have financial independence and freedom and choices and flexibility and security. So yeah.
I think of a few clients, a few scenarios where we've kind of encountered this, and one time in particular, I'm thinking about this client was one of the higher income earners that we've worked with. If we're just talking about total compensation, there was strong income coming in, but there was no wealth being built. And from the outside, it all looked great, and they weren't in bad shape by any means, but the reality was I think the way we probably presented it when we got into this with them is you're just missing such a great opportunity to build wealth here.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it was really cool to see their transition from just bringing in this high income but not doing anything with it to actually building wealth. And it was really a great transition. A few things to point out here, the income didn't change. The income stayed the same. It's what they're bringing in collections, that didn't change. Yeah. Their lifestyle actually didn't change at all. Their personal lifestyle, the things that they wanted to do in life, that didn't change. If anything, they maybe doubled down on what was really important and cut
Yep.
out a few of the things that were just fluff and not adding any value to their life. So if you could say that there was any like trade-offs, that would probably be the only one. But I would argue it was actually a good trade-off, because probably cut some spending that was just not, not doing anything for them. It's
Yep.
just that like garbage spending, which we all do the odd time, right? But
Yep.
and so they were able to do all these things, but then also just implement some really quick, simple strategies to start setting aside money and investing and growing wealth. Like the progress is already astounding on this one in particular that I'm thinking of.
For sure. And that's, I know you're thinking about, and it's all still short term, but in addition to all the good things they put in place so far, they're starting that trajectory of starting to build wealth while not sacrificing and living a great lifestyle that they want to be living today. We've also now mapped out for them that if we keep doing what we're doing now and continue down this path, here's where you're going to actually end up. These are clients in their late 30s, right? Like we're forecasting out 20, 25 years from now, and they're going to be in a much better position than they would have been in if they just kind of meandered down the current path, or the path that they were on, which is just a little bit lackluster. Like they were living a good life, but
no plan.
no plan.
Now they have a plan.
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
it doesn't mean we know everything that's going to happen in life, but we make some assumptions and at least get some numbers on paper. And man, it's crazy how much confidence that brings to someone's life to have that mapped out. Yeah.
So why do you think this happens, Chris? Is it a lack of time? Is it a discipline thing? Is it just not knowing where to even start?
Yeah.
What do you
I
think it
mean,
is?
I think it's all those things. The biggest one is not knowing where to start. Like we get stuck, maybe not stuck, but like we just know what we know, and our systems are what we do is just kind of set, and it's pretty hard to change those things unless there's a really big driver. So something happens in your life that impacts you and is strong enough to create a change. Sometimes it takes something big to make that change, but I think a lot of times we just are cruising. We're happy with the way things are. And naturally, a lot of humans, like we don't like change, right?
It's true. Most of us don't like change. And so often we kind of see the no plan in place. It's
Right.
I'm kind of just winging it. And usually not because they want to wing it. It's just because things are kind of cruising along and like they're comfortable. They might be living a good lifestyle. All is good. But no one's ever really showed them the big picture either of saying, you're living this lifestyle that you want to be living here in your 20s, 30s, 40s. It doesn't really matter. At some point, you want to transition into whatever, long-term retirement or financial independence, whatever you want to call that down the line. At some point, you got to build up that nest egg to get you there and to give you that flexibility and options down that line. So like you said, they usually need some sort of big something needs to happen in their life to be like, the no plan isn't going to cut it anymore. I need to get a strategy and understand where I'm going and if I'm on the right track and if I need to do anything different today to get me to where I want to go.
Yeah. On the flip side, I think like also contributing to this is that it never feels like a perfect time.
Yep.
Like, and I think we can relate this to so many different facets of life. Like, I don't know about when you guys, when you and your wife first had or thought about first having a child, like I didn't feel ready. Didn't feel like it was the perfect time. But
I could agree with that.
if we were waiting for the perfect time, we'd probably still be waiting.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think it's the same with growing your wealth and starting this habit of investing. And when it comes down to it, it's way more about building the habit than it is about the dollar amount, isn't it, Scott?
It's true. Yep. You see a lot of people, let's talk about early career for a moment. Like if you're in your first 5-10 years, maybe you're in a situation where you're just so focused on so many things going on. Like maybe you are starting a family and a practice and you got, student loan debt that's still looming and all of these things pulling in different directions, both emotionally and financially. You think about like, I'll have to get to this point before I can start considering like a plan or investing, but maybe talk us through why it's so important to start, in those early days.
Yeah. I mean, with any habit, it's repetition that matters. It's not how often you work. It's not how long you work out for. It's how often you work out, right? When we talk
Yeah.
about physical health, it's the same with investing and building wealth. So if we can start small, and actually it's way easier when the stakes are smaller as well, right? If we all of a sudden have a pile of cash that we want to go get invested and we've never invested before, like that obviously seems overwhelming. But when you start out with little and you start the habit of setting it aside and investing it feels easier, and we can build that level of comfort. Yeah, I think it's just, it needs to happen that way. Like we have to start. And if it's kind of, there's so many things we can compare it to, but like the best time to start is now. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like the best time is now. And we think of this all of like, I mean, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but paying yourself first is kind of the way we think of this. And we don't always use those terms, right? But like, it's kind of how we think of it. It's like when you bring your income in, like when you say whatever your collections are in your practice, your expenses, you have your system in your business, hopefully. And if you don't, go back and listen to the Profit First episode. But hopefully you have all that. And so you have a clear compensation plan. You know how much income is coming into your personal hands each month. Once that hits your personal account, we need to set aside some amount of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the first step, isn't it? Like,
Yep, for sure. But Chris, what if I have a couple $100,000 of student loans?
yeah,
Do I still invest?
absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Why?
Because you got to start the habit. Because if you wait for those loans to be paid off, well, a few things that could take a decade or more. So you're missing out on the interest rates working for you rather than against you, right? That's the way I look at debt anyways. Like debt is interest working against you, investing isn't working for you. And it's a balancing act. Obviously, we don't want to say divert all of your money, extra money towards investing when you have 200,000 in debt, say.
For sure.
But if you can start that habit and get comfortable with investing, when that debt is paid off, now maybe you're in the position to do 10x what you were doing on a monthly basis consistently, and you have that comfort to do it. I think that's why you need to do it now, right?
Yeah. Early days, you get those reps in. And in addition to that, one thing that I always bring up in terms of advocating for getting started with investing, even if you have debt, is that it builds liquidity. Like if you're only focused on paying down debt and you don't have proper cash reserves, it leaves you in a position where you have less flexibility and options. Maybe you want to start or open a practice. You need cash, right? That's what a lender's going to look at. Like, do you have liquidity? Do you have cash? Like that's something to consider as well.
It gives you options at the end of the day, right? And
Yeah.
when we talk about like building wealth to achieve financial freedom really comes down to options, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what you start at, right? Like, but just picking that amount that you can do. But our rules of thumb, love them, hate them, both. But, one of the things we look at is for an established chiropractor that has consistent income and is in a reasonable debt load, like they should be saving and investing 15 to 20% of their net income, right? That is
Absolutely.
really, depending on your trajectory. If you want early financial freedom or later, that number could change. But ultimately, if you're saving that 15 to 20% of your income, that's setting you up to be in a good position to have that freedom when you want it later in life.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And even if we talked a little bit about early career chiropractors, but even if we're, moving a little bit further ahead into someone's career and they have started investing and they are growing some net worth, another thing that we see that, they stray away from like an automated rule of thumb of investing a certain portion of their income is that they're only growing their wealth kind of, sporadically based on things that happen throughout the year. Maybe they make some one-time deposits or investments. It's kind of all reactionary versus a planned approach for the year. They haven't got, I always say first of all, we need awareness first and foremost of where we're at today. Let's get organized of where things stand. Where do we want to be in a year, 2, 5, 10 years from now? How do we get there? And, we've obviously talked a lot already about systematizing and having the right structures in place. But then on top of that, then it's layering in that automation approach of, all right, we have those systems in place. Now we can automatically save and invest 10, 15, 20%. And if you're not in a position to do that, start somewhere. Start with a dollar amount that you feel like is reasonable, or like I'm going to invest 5% of my income. And my goal is, but in a year from now, let's get that to 7 and then 10, and start working your way up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like you said, that awareness, like we have to start there, and starting small is totally fine. and
Yeah.
growing from there. But you need the cycle, right? You need to start it, and then you need the time to experience it and also reflect back and see and track your progress, see how you're doing, and then make adjustments. It's this continual loop, right? We can't
Yep.
just do it once and then forget about it. But yeah, on that point of regular investing and saving, I am such a fan of automation. And coming from a former lump sum investor, I was one of those crazy guys, Scott.
Tell
I,
me more. Tell me more.
yeah, yeah, it was, you know what? I think it was for a good reason. It was actually like I had enough saved when I was young to like max my TFSA out at the beginning of the year. So I would do that. But as life progressed and unfolded, it actually resulted in me missing some of my investing opportunities because I wasn't doing it consistently. I didn't do it monthly and I didn't have it automated. Right. So, even if you have the best intentions and the best like reason for wanting to lump sum invest, I still think that automating and doing it monthly or semi-monthly, bi-weekly, whatever that looks like for you, you set it, you forget it, it's always happening in the background. There's so much value in that.
Yep. It works really well with our natural kind of human behaviors around our money. When it comes to automating as well, you might think, like, I don't have any room in my cash flow right now to be saving $500 or $1,000 a month into whatever investment accounts. But I think the reality is, if, say you pay yourself $10,000 a month as just an example, if you automated $1,000 a month to some sort of investment account, guarantee you'll make it work on nine. Like, you'll make it work on 9,000.
Yeah.
It's Parkinson's law. Whatever's left over, you'll make it work. It might take a few months to adjust, but eventually you'll come to make it work from a cash flow standpoint to live on nine.
Yeah. 100%. Right?
So Chris, if we're at a position now where we're like, okay, I need to continue to get onto an automated kind of investment plan where I'm chunking away, where do we start? That next step of actually investing can be intimidating for some. Where do we go from there?
Yeah. I mean, if you are ready to automate the system and have the, X percentage or X amount pulled from your regular checking account on a regular basis and transferred to a different location to be invested for your future growth. The first question people are going to ask is like, well, where do I invest and what do I invest in? And like, investing's scary, isn't it? I could lose my money. Like, it could go down. I don't know what I don't know, and it just feels complicated and scary, right? So what I would tell that person, if you're feeling like that, is that actually investing is easy. And it's a problem that's already been solved, and you don't need a controversial statement here. You don't need a financial expert to help you invest. You may want to use one, but it should be for the right reason. And here's the wrong reason. If your advisor, investment advisor, financial planner, whatever you want to call them, if their value add, if their proposition to you is invest with me, I'll get you a better return, they're lying. And you should run and go to a different advisor, planner, whatever you want to call it, right? Because investing is a problem that's been solved. The solution is diversify, lower your fees, and set it and forget it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So that's the easy, like it's hard, but it's actually really easy to execute that basic investment philosophy.
For sure. Yeah. And maybe it takes a little bit of your own research to kind of understand your options of like how you could get started with investing if you did not go through an advisor, for example, whether it's a direct investing account through your bank, or using one of the robo platforms online. Like, they're all sound places to start. You have to get over the barrier of like, how does this work and what am I getting into?
Yeah, like you said, that's a reasonable place, and that is an option. If you're listening to this, you're a chiropractor that, whether you're an associate or you've built a practice, like, you're an educated person, you are a hard worker, obviously, like, you've created something, you're on a good trajectory already. You have the ability probably to invest on your own if you want to, with a series of index funds and some platform, right? Pretty straightforward. But why should someone, like, obviously we're bashing kind of old school investment advisors or financial advisors here, but like, why
Yeah.
should someone still execute their investments with people like us that are doing real financial planning?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You'd consider going that route when you want to work with a true planner that you can outsource. Like you're leveraging that expert for planning and advice that may be able to help you with investment management and actually implementing, an investment strategy that's tied to a financial plan. And we've talked about this, like a financial plan is factoring all these different areas in of your life, your practice and tax plan and your income strategy and big picture. And then you start going down this avenue of like, all right, I'm ready to invest. Well, do I invest in my corporation? Do I do TFSA? Do I do RRSP? Like, how do I make those decisions? Those come down to like financial planning and tax planning decisions that's where you can leverage experts to make sure that you're, making sound decisions. And quite frankly, from an investment standpoint as well, a lot of our clients say, you know what, I could do this on my own, but I don't want this. I don't want another thing on my plate. You guys take care of it and we'll collaborate on the financial plan and your
Hmm.
investment strategy together.
Yeah. Yeah. You're outsourcing, right? Like
Yep.
my time is better spent doing something different. I'm not an expert in that field. I'll go do adjustments and run my practice. And
Yep.
that's where my time and energy is better spent, right?
For
But I
sure.
think, yeah, the point you said there, like it's execution. Investing is like it's all about execution at the end of the day. Can you execute a sound investment strategy and
Hmm.
stick to that strategy?
Yep.
And your financial planner should be able to do that for you. But the key point you made there is it should be tied to your overall financial plan and all of the work that goes into that piece, like the tax planning, aligning it to your goals, what you're trying to achieve in life, and then working it backwards to make it a cohesive plan.
Mhm.
I know that that's a lot. Like really, when it comes down to it, if you are paying yourself first, setting aside some money, you're investing it in an investment account, whether that's corporate, TFSA, RSP. We're not giving you specific advice here. This is all dependent on your unique situation. But if you are putting it in one of those accounts and you're investing it in a balanced, diversified portfolio with low fees, you're crushing it. Like
Absolutely.
that's a
For
great
sure.
start, right?
And that's often the first step of taking that high income that you're earning, trying to find that balance of living that rich life that you want to live today, but also keeping in mind, like, I got to start building some wealth and moving the needle in the direction of the future as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of what we set out for today, right?
Yep.
Wealth doesn't come from what you earn, it comes from what you keep and what you grow.
That's right.
So what are some action steps if any listeners are like, I want to get started here? Like, what could they do?
There's three that come to mind. The first one that I brought up earlier was, I think it all starts with some good awareness of where you're at. Being financially organized is such a big piece of the overall kind of financial planning process. Understanding where you're at. We love to suggest that you understand what your net worth is. And for those that need a quick refresher on what your net worth is, that's essentially all of your assets, all the things that you own, minus your liabilities or your debts. It gives you your net worth. It's not something that you need to be tracking daily. Even if you track this on a yearly basis, understanding where you're at, are you making progress as you move forward throughout the years? Is your net worth growing along with your income and your progress through life?
Yeah.
So that's number one. What's number two, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, that's all good on the awareness side and like building that starting point. At the end of the day, you got to pick an amount and start doing it, right?
Yep.
So I would say that you can refer back to kind of the rule of thumb here, that 15 to 20%. If you're not in a position where you have excess on a monthly basis, like excess cash flow at the end of the month and things feel tight, well, maybe you just want to pick a number to start with.
Yep.
Maybe it's a percentage still, maybe it's a 5%, or maybe it's just $50.
Yep.
The amount doesn't matter. Just pick something and start it. And then the last point here, we need to take our willpower out of it. We suck with willpower. Like some of us are very strong-willed and we are really good at doing these repetitious things over and over. But life is going to happen. Something's going to derail us. And there will come a time where we miss doing that thing. So we need to automate it so that it happens without us actually doing it, right?
For sure. I love it. Anything else you want to add before we wrap?
No, I think we already took more time than I was hoping to.
Sounds good. Well, we will wrap it there. Thanks for joining us today. Tell us about the financial assessment that our listeners can check out, Chris.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see kind of where you stand, the kind of key 6 areas that we look at with our clients and see kind of where you stand in each of those areas of your financial life and get a little bit of feedback on that, go check out the financial clarity assessment. And if you want to take that a step further, you can always book a chat with us.
Absolutely. And you can find a link to that in the description, or you can visit our website, alignwealth.ca. It's up in the top corner. You can't miss it. So yeah, thanks for joining in, and we will see you next time.
All opinions expressed on the Chiro Money Show are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Nothing on this podcast should be considered financial, legal, accounting, or tax advice. Always consult your own team of licensed professionals before making decisions about your finances.